Hello and welcome back. We've got another quick little update video for you today, of course, on Fridtjof Nansen here. You can see there's a few new things on the exterior. We'll take a quick look at those, but that's not really what this video is about. We're going to be diving deep into the depths of this boat and check out some of the crew spaces, so let's just jump right into it. Alright, so before we take a look at all the cool crew spaces on board, I did mention all these things that are up here on deck now. Let's just make our way to the front real quick. Alright, so here we are on top of the Monkey Island, which is this little area above the bridge here. And so there's going to be a few more things up here, but just a general idea. We've got some cables running all along the back, and they will also string down to the bow there as well. I just haven't got those hooked up yet. We do have 3 spotlights up here as well, one on each wing, and of course that one in the center. And we have some antennas and other important instrument stuff up here, as well as these guide cables, which, because there's no railings on the front, you harness in so you don't fall off. And then we do have some railings just around the back here so you don't fall off the back. A little bit more secure like that. And then making our way a little bit further back, so here we have these front windows to the Explorer Lounge. So these have a beautiful view out the bow of the ship. You can't see down very well, but just the general horizon in front. Same thing on this side, just no vertical antenna, just the spotlights here. And we have these steps that we can take and take us up to the deck 11 right here. We'll just open this door and come into the guest area. So, from the guest area, you can see we kind of have this front overlook here, which is honestly very beautiful. We have this running track, which kind of loops around, and then just a bunch of instrument stuff here, so some radars, the main nav lights and structure right there, and of course these extra antennas. Now these up here, you'll see a lot of vents. This is for like air conditioning and air circulation. This is one of the major areas on board where they manage that. You can see we have some more enclosed radar, sorry, and then just kind of deck extends all along the back here. Now in here, this is the crew outdoor area. So just under this mast, in here we have kind of like the crew outdoor area. So there's just some more entrances into these mechanical spaces. We have a safe return to port bridge. So this is just backup emergency systems if the main bridge has been compromised. We do also have a winch only rescue pad up here with the IMO and the radio call sign. You can see that we have a beautiful view of the funnel further aft, and just kind of a great view overall. The crew are up here when, you know, you're traversing cool terrain, so great overall lookout. It's a shame the guests don't have access to this, but makes sense. So, moving on from the winch only area, more vents and just access in here as well. And there will be tables and stuff as well. This isn't just a giant empty room for them. Making our way back, we do have some more entrances and more vents to these mechanical spaces here. Now this mechanical space here is pretty important, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit here. But if we keep coming around the running track, you can see we have the main funnel here. So there's even more vents. They're kind of hard to see, but you can see them in there. We have the HX logo, and we have some outdoor workout equipment, and of course access into the funnel. Another radar up here, and then it just kind of extends around the back here, and then a very similar setup over here, but we do have different workout equipment. Now, coming over here, the interiors of these spaces are not done yet, but you will see this. Now this is actually the exhaust for the emergency generator. So just like we had that safe return to port emergency bridge a little bit further forward, there is a backup electrical system and breakers, and the generator is right up here as well. So worst case, everything emergency related is located right here. Backup switchboards and everything are just right here. You may have noticed we have these little windows along. That's kind of just to break up the wind and stop it from just becoming an absolute wind tunnel through here. Kind of just slows it down. Right here, this is a door that goes into the main stairs, but it is currently not. So we will work on that, but we will just teleport our way down into here, and here we are on deck 10. Now, that about sums up everything for the top deck that we have added, of course you can see this is the Explorer Lounge in there, those windows. I am going to head down to deck 3 and I will meet you down there. Now deck 3 is one of the decks that I'm currently working on, so it's in a separate vehicle, so you'll not actually see the details of deck 3. But if we just no clip down through the floor here, you will see just a general layout. But this is actually not the deck that we're going to look at, for obvious reasons. It's not very well detailed. Deck 2 is actually the one that we're looking at today. So I'm just going to travel up to the very front, and we'll start our deck 2 tour. Alright, so here we are. This is the front of deck 3 if you want to see kind of where we are on the exterior. We're just down here. And this is the start of the watertight section, this floor right here. So you'll see a lot of hatches and stuff going down, and anywhere below here separated into watertight compartments. So that's why there are a bunch of staircases kind of popping up. We'll see them later, but that is the reason for that. Just because maritime law requires that these watertight sections have their own exit in case of an emergency, whether it's a staircase or just a ladder. You need to be able to get out if those watertight doors cannot be opened. So, up here, we are in the very bow, you can tell by the angle here. And this is the bow thruster room. So this is one of the areas that's not quite done. I do mainly on the area below. We need to do some more detailing. But this is the main like PMS electrical area, and then if we pop down this ladder here, you'll see that we are actually standing between the two tunnels for the bow thrusters. So we've got one motor here, and then one motor kind of popping up through the floor, and you can kind of just crawl around in here. There's not a whole lot, so again I need to detail this further. But if we look in no clip, you will see that these are the actual bow thrusters, so that's nice. And we could just pop back up here real quick and pop through this thruster access hatch, and you'll notice that you can't really fit through there, so that's why there are two hatches there. And then we've got some platforms for you to walk down there as well. And then in this front area here, again, this is technically we would be on deck 1 here. We're very, very far forward and low. So right in here would be pumps for the water ballast, which is right in front of us here. This is the forward 4-peak tank. If we look, it's just the kind of bulbous. So in front of us is the 4-peak ballast, so the trim tank basically. And then right below us there's just more water ballast, which kind of goes around these two thrusters. That's why you can't go under the thrusters themselves. So there's just water down there. So this is one of the spaces, the rare spaces, which are actually isolated. So we have to go through this hatch here. So we'll just go back up through these ladders here and make our way back up. Alright, so we are up top again. Now we're just going to make our way back. So you can kind of see the layout here. I'll do a more comprehensive tour once we have both these decks, because these two kind of work hand in hand together. But we can come around this way and go down this staircase. So come around this staircase, and this watertight section I will be entering here. So these stairs are going to take us down into the third watertight section. Of course, we were just in the bow thrusters, which is the second one. And then up in the very front with that water ballast tank would be the first. I believe there is 12 or 16 total. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go for a general idea of how far back we are. So this is the start of the crew area. Where we just were was kind of just engineers, maintenance stuff. This is actual crew. So through here, of course, we have the crew gym, which is a cool little space. We've got some rowing or some bikes. We have a reverse pec deck, a lat pull down. We have some rowing machines, some treadmills, some dumbbells, and a leg press, as well as just some yoga mats, a little water machine, and yeah, just kind of some TVs dotted around. This is actually a pretty nice crew gym. It's decked out pretty nice. And you will notice when we're down here, I have put exit signs, so that is hopefully helpful if you're ever on board and you're lost. Follow the exit signs and you'll see a staircase, and you can hopefully get up. Now, this will go down one deck further, but I have not detailed that yet. So down there would be hotel stores, which is also what is in here. It's just kind of a continuation of the hotel stores downstairs. Now these are obviously empty. I might fill them, I might not, we'll see. But this would just be anything that the hotel aspect of the ship needs. So soaps, linen, pillows, anything just kind of stored in here. Just a big, I don't know, storage area here. Now back here, we're in a little bit of a lobby, so you can see the exit sign pointing us towards that staircase. In here is the crew gym, so there's that other door that we just saw. And they both kind of meet right here. And now this is a watertight door. There's tons of these on board. And we can just open this up here and get between the watertight sections without having to go up a deck. So we'll just wait for this to open. This is actually probably quicker, if not on par, than how slow they would be in real life. So generally you'd usually just go upstairs unless you have to roll something through, which we'll see a little bit later. So now we are standing in the fourth watertight section, and this is kind of a lobby for the crew almost. So you can see on either side we have a little restroom in here for the crew. So pretty plain, just kind of gets the job done. Here we do have that staircase that goes out, and on the left we have the crew day room and the bulkhead 3 lobby. So this is actually bulkhead 4. Don't listen to me. Here is the crew day room. So just kind of some nice plush seats, a nice big screen. There's kind of some desks dotted around. There are portholes, so they can see out at the ocean passing by. And then there's just kind of these nice couches at the back. And there is a second emergency exit right here. So just kind of a place for the crew when they're not working or in between shifts or whatever. You can just kind of hang out, talk to each other, watch a movie, whatever. So in here is the switchboard room. There's actually 4 switchboard rooms on board. There are 3 main ones and then the emergency one, which is up on deck 11. And the ship is divided into fire zones. So each fire zone has its own electrical system, so they can't kind of start an electrical fire throughout the whole ship. Now this is not fully done, not operational is what that means. But it's kind of detailed. You can see cables going through the ceiling. Another emergency exit as well. Let's see, right here we've got a rectifier from the high voltage down to the low voltage that the rest of the ship will use. And then just breakers. We've got elevator motors, anchor windlass, the bridge, bow thrusters, and just the main grid as well there, kind of just onto the bus. And then these are all just for individual decks. So it's pretty simple. You just kind of turn them all on. Now, coming back out, that is the only 2 rooms that are in this 4th watertight zone. So we're just going to pop up the stairs because it's a little bit quicker than trying to open that door. This is where the laundry is done. So through here we have laundry and clothing. And so this is where the crew and the guest laundry would get done by some crew members on board. They've kind of got hangers in the ceiling to dry stuff, washers and dryers dotted around, some ironing things, stuff like that. General, just small items will get cleaned through here. And then there is just a little closet that kind of loops around, if you saw that other door there. On this side, we have the laundry and linen. So this is a little bit bigger. You'll see the more industrial stuff. So the big ironing things for the linen, some more tables, sinks, and then the big ol' washers and dryers are in here. And you will see that there is 2 watertight doors. So one right here, and then there is one right here. And I'm just going to go up the stairs again, and I'll see you on the other side. Alright, so here we are on the other side. You can see we have the 2 watertight doors right here, and it may be interesting, but it actually makes perfect sense once I dive into it a little bit more. But this watertight zone is just kind of full of crew cabins, that is. So here is one example. This is a 2-person crew cabin. So you can just kind of squeeze in here, and the crew cabins are actually pretty nice on board. We've got 2 beds, some storage, a little extra seat there, some more storage. And then there is a bathroom with a sink, mirror, little drying rack, toilet, and a shower, as well as a porthole if it is an exterior cabin. And I will show you one more, and then we won't look at all of them because there are like 52 on this deck, I think. And they're all detailed, but we won't go into all of them. So this is a 4-person crew cabin. You can see there are 4 beds, There's a few more seats over here. Oh, need to hook up that light. And another porthole as well, and just bathroom. So, kind of just all down here in the bottom with the crew. Now, back out of these crew cabin corridors, this has some crew cabins in it, like we just saw, but it also has a lot of the, like, kind of external access to the crew areas. So here is an elevator, as well as if we come around this side, there's also an elevator right here. So these elevators are pretty prominent. This is the forward staircase. So these connect to the guest staircases as well. And that explains why there's this watertight door right here. So the crew, this is the crew elevator, they can take the laundry and linen from around the ship, bring it right down the elevator, and then pipe it straight into the laundry room. So that's kind of what's going on here. And we'll come over here, we do have an emergency exit, and these two doors on the very edge, those are just kind of closets, so they're not detailed. And here we've just got some more crew cabins, and again, all of these are detailed. So if we just pop into one here, you can see fully detailed. They're all pretty much the same. And if we come out here, it's kind of just a loop. So this one kind of loops around. And then this one also just looped around these elevators in the middle here. And then this is access down to the lower decks for the engineers, because there's more machinery space down there. So kind of a bigger door for that. And I'm just going to go through this watertight door real quick. All right, so on the other side of this watertight door, we are now in the 7th watertight section on board. Through here you can see we have that exit staircase, and then these are pretty much just a big circle. So we'll go around, and then it's just a full loop, and these are just, this one is just crew cabins. So you'll see there's crew cabins on either side. If we loop around, there's just more storage in here, and I think one of these might be an emergency exit. I might be wrong. Nope, these two are just storage. And then here, it just kind of loops all the way around. So it's just a big circle, or square. And then the next one is the same as well. So we've got the stairs up the middle, and then we just walk all the way around, and it's just a circle of crew cabins on board. So these are kind of the bulk of where the crew cabins stay, as well as in the bow, going up to deck 4 or 5, I think. This one might be the exit. Yeah, so this one has the emergency exit from the machinery spaces below. So there is not just the engine rooms, which we're getting close to, but also machinery just below the decks in general for pumps, whatever else, you know, sewage stuff. So this is just another big circle. And through this door, we've got some more fun things. So if we pop through here, we're now in a little bit of a different space. It looks a little bit smaller. So we've got stairs that go up as well, and then these stairs will go down to more machinery spaces, of course. If we come over here, we have a changing room. So these would be for our engineers on board. They've kind of got a locker room, some washers and dryers, and just a water closet in here as well. And the reason that the engineers have a changing room here is because they are based right here in the engine control room. If we come across, we have the second switchboard room on board. And this one looks a little bit different. So we've got all the breakers as well as the rectifier, of course. But then we also have this, which is basically taking that super high voltage off of the engines and putting that into what we can use throughout the ship. So that means that we are now in a zone with engines. The last one did not have engines. So if we come through here, be aware this isn't detailed. These two rooms still have a lot of work to do. But this is the engine control room, so there's a bunch of shelves for manuals and information for the ship, because of course, if anything breaks, these guys have to fix it, and, you know, they can't just have ChatGPT do that for them. So, there's a bunch of stuff in here. I won't go into the displays too much because I'm working on those, so they're not done yet. We won't look at those. But they have a little bit of a lounge, and then like coffee, little desks, and then more filing cabinets through here. It's a very nice engine control room, I have to say. I would not hate to spend my days down here. It's nice colors and stuff. Through here we have a workshop, so this is getting into the more industrial side, of course. This is the area I am least proud of. This is not going to stay. Some things might, but it needs detailing. I'm kind of working on that right now. But you can see we have a crane in the ceiling here, or not the crane itself, but the track for the crane. So half a ton crane in here. We've got some drill things, just kind of some pegboards for stuff, some wrenches, and then through here we have an emergency exit, which will just be a ladder that goes upstairs. And there is a hatch which goes into the machinery deck below. And then I believe you can maybe take things sideways to the bow machinery rooms as well. But just if you need to fix things, you can kind of open the hatch, lift it up, fix it, drop it back down, put it where it needs to go. Through here we have engine part storage. This is not detailed just because it's kind of just a closet full of stuff. Through this door, however, this is where it gets fun. So this is the bow engine room, or engine room number 1. I need to keep talking while this door opens because they're not the fastest things. And you'll see a little friendly face in there. Just some little Easter eggs throughout. And here we are in the engine room. So it's kind of a tight, cramped opening here, but we've got these Herzegruten things, which are all painted as minions, which is very, very funny. I love that. But if we come around, you can kind of see this crane continues on around and then over the main engines, which are right here. So there's just a bunch of equipment, a bunch of piping, stuff happening all up in here. And these are engines 1 and 2, and we will go down there in just a brief moment. And this, I did forget to mention, this little thing right here is an emergency exit, as well as we have one over here. So of course the engine room, tons of safety in here. You want to be able to get out. So this right here is an emergency exit, but this one is for the lower deck, so you can't actually go into that one here. But you can see the exhaust kind of funneling out, a bunch of air vents to keep this place cool, and they do. I've seen pictures in this room is like 15 Celsius. So they work hard to keep these areas cool. Of course, just more electrical, piping, all that kind of stuff. This on the side here is called combing, and it is basically a way for them to access the tanks. They're basically like hatches, but they're like drilled shut. They don't open very often unless they need to inspect the tank. So that does mean that there is a tank here, as well as around this little machine here. There is a tank in here. I can actually tell you that this one is the fuel oil service tank. So I do have the general arrangements, but I can't share those, unfortunately, just for proprietary and security reasons. But I do have that information, which I do think is kind of fun. Down on the lower deck, we do need some lights, but here, this is the lower deck of these main engines. So you can kind of just walk around them here. You can see where the cables come off of those main generators, which are on the back half here. And there are some catwalks to get up to service the engines as well. Here is an emergency exit as well as the one over there. And these doors, there's one on the other side as well, which I'll show you. But these are for the stabilizers. So the stabilizer fins are just on the other side, but they just have that second layer of protection just in case, anything breaks. You've also got that here. And we can kind of come along these catwalks here and kind of weave between the engines, go into the middle as well. Or we can just keep going and come over here. And now this area, this is the separator room, and of course there's that other stabilizing fin. So this is for, I believe, separating fuel oil. I'm not exactly sure. There's a few of these on board, but they're centrifugal separators, so they spin and they separate the contaminants from other things. But they're just kind of tucked in here. There's one in the other engine room as well. But we'll just kind of sneak out here and go back up to the other deck. So that is one of the few areas which is detailed for deck 1. So we are very far down. Alright, so now we're going to go into the second engine room. So this wall right here is actually a big wall. Of course, it is a watertight bulkhead, but it is also a firewall. So this separates the two fire zones here. There's that third one up at the front, but then there's also these two. So that means that the engines are split 50-50 for like emergencies. If one goes down, you still have the other one, which can supply electricity to the rest of the ship if there is a fire or an emergency. Now, This, of course, is the second engine room. So you can see here we have that little crane. And I didn't talk about them too much, but they just kind of roll across on these tracks. And now these ones are actually a safe working load of 2 tons, if I can find a thing. Yep, there it is, 2 tons. But they come around, and then they actually extend out over the main engines. So this is engine 3 and 4. And over here, we've just kind of got most of the same things, kind of just duplicated around. Just kind of a different setup for the engine room. This one as well does have 2 exits, and I do need to detail these. I do apologize, they're not quite detailed down here. But again, it's just engine room, so just kind of machinery and stuff. But yeah, this is certainly not detailed to the same extent as the other one. You can see the center there. And then we can just pop right back up to these stairs here. And there are 2 emergency exits from this engine room as well. I believe there's one right here and that one right there. So, one on each side. It's pretty good rule for safety. And I am going to turn these lights off, and we'll just kind of go around. Of course, exit signs. Now you will notice that this crane does go through this door, and that is for a very, very good reason. Because on the other side of this door, we have the auxiliary machinery room. So this is just kind of a continuation of the engine room, but it's what's on the other side of that, which really makes a difference. So, in here, we've got just other machinery, and the stairs do go down to another machinery space below. But just general, I don't even know what any of this stuff would do. Big separators, big tanks, big everything. There's a sea chest right here as well. And there are a few of those, but that one's the most kind of prominent to see. Here we have another emergency exit, and through this door, we have that third and final switchboard ring. So it's, again, very similar to the ones that we've seen already, but it's just for this other fire zone. I do apologize for the little graphical glitches. I will try to fix those if I can. But again, following this crane through, safe working load of 2 tons, we'll kind of just make our way through. If we hit the right button, through this door, and you will start to hear the propellers as we are getting further astern. So I'll lower my audio a little bit so you can hear me better, but we are getting further astern, so you'll notice it kind of gets a little bit tighter as we get back here. But through here, this is kind of a major space, so that's why the crane comes in here, because we have this giant watertight door on the side. Now, of course, way bigger than any of the other doors that we've seen so far. But this is actually the provisions room. So this is the unpacking area for the provisions. Everything further back is pretty much just provisions. But this big door goes into the loading and unloading area. So there's a giant lift, which can move things up and down. And so spare parts, if you need to get them into the ship, you can bring them in here, drop them down, and then forklift them in and just use those cranes and get them to any of the machinery spaces on board, which is pretty cool. Right here, we're kind of back to normal crew spaces. So we're back to stairs instead of ladders to get out. There is an elevator right here as well. And if we come around, you can kind of see that we start to transition. So this is a lot of stainless steel, very sterile environment on board over here. If we come to the starboard side here, we have the prep area. So there's 3 different lines where they will prepare the foods, the meats and stuff like that over here. And then they have their own little freezer. So this is the meat and poultry freezer. This is the biggest one, or the fridge, sorry. This is for stuff that's going to be going up to the galley fairly soon. So what was that? Fish and then vegetable. They're all very similar. But yeah. So just kind of a prep room so there's less work on the actual galley staff. Over here, we have the dry provision. So this is pretty much anything that doesn't need to be refrigerated. So flour, sugar, any of that stuff. It is still refrigerated to 10 Celsius, so it's still cold. But that's just for bacteria and stuff, not necessarily just long lasting. But this is one of the larger fridges on board, just because this is dry provision is a very large section of what you're going to have on board. Right here we have the provision manager's office. This is not detailed, neither is the trolley wash. So just kind of little obsolete rooms, which I didn't really bother. And here is the thawing room. So this is 4 Celsius. And there's just there's just trolleys in here, which will have food and stuff on them. You will notice that everything we looked at right in here is above freezing. So this is all stuff that is ready to come out. It has been prepared in the prep room, and it will come through here, and it will go into this elevator, which will go straight to the galley. So that is very convenient that it just comes straight from the prepared area. Now, moving further stern, we have another watertight door, and this will take us into the more kind of frozen. So coming through here, again, very sterile. Here we have dairy, eggs, and milk. This is the last refrigerated space on board. So this is +4 Celsius, still pretty cold. And then in here we have frozen, mixed, and ice cream. So just various frozen things in here, as well as, of course, ice cream. Across the way we have the fish freezer. So this one is very cold, -20 Celsius. And this is just a bunch of fish. Squeezing by that door, we have the meat and poultry freezer. So this is, of course, -20 as well. This is a very big freezer, because, of course, meat and poultry are a large part of the diet. And across the way, we have vegetable and fruit. So this is, of course, just another fridge. Not a whole lot going on down here. And right here, we do have an emergency exit, which will take you right the way up to, actually, I believe, deck 4. I think this hatch is wrong. I think it'll take you all the way up, yeah, to here. So, this is a long way out if you're in there. But, do what you gotta do, I guess. But yeah, that is the Deck 2 tour. I really hope you enjoyed. Got a little bit of Deck 1 in there as well, and Deck 11. I will hopefully be releasing a video for Deck 3 fairly shortly, because Deck 3 is also almost done as well. Deck 3 is one of my favorite decks. It's got a lot of fun stuff on it. So if you do want to check out the Deck 6 tour, which is also one of my favorite decks, there's a video on the channel. And of course, we will keep chipping away and hopefully finish this thing eventually. So, I hope you enjoyed. As always, see ya.